All right, this is a mic check W2 we're on for this presentation. Good evening, everyone. Chief Meteorologist James Zahara here. Glad you can join us here on the 8 Plus app, where we're going to be discussing a lot about our weather. That's going to be a little bit dicey as we make our way later tomorrow night, and looks like going into Sunday. So that is the reason why we have our weather impact alert. Of course, we're also on our WQAD Facebook page as well. And if you happen to have any questions regarding tomorrow's weather, or in fact, in general for the weekend itself, we will be taking those questions as well. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those on there on the WQAD Facebook page, and we'll go ahead and address those during our discussion. Let's kind of break this down a little bit. Of course, it was a pretty hot and humid day today, and we'll likely extend that going into tomorrow. Back to seeing those temperatures maybe on average close to or right around 90 degrees, and likely deal with that amount of humidity in the air that will allow those temperatures to feel more like around 100 degrees. But that heat and humidity that is expected to build going into tomorrow will get to be rinsed out in the form of some drenching showers and thunderstorms. And it's going to come in several waves that we expect to see. And within these waves, we expect to see maybe an intense wind gust, though isolated. The biggest concern that we have here, the potential for some very heavy rain in a very short period of time. All that results in the potential for some flash flooding. So that's why we have our weather impact alert as we head into tomorrow. Now, what we're going to be keeping an eye on, of course, the weather right now is all quiet across the area, but what we will keep an eye on is that boundary located off to our north and west. A pretty quiet boundary right now, but as that makes its way eastward, it's going to start flaring up these rounds of drenching showers and thunderstorms. And once again, like we said, the threat is there certainly for not only some high wind, but also the possibility of some very heavy rain, because the air is going to be really saturated enough to be rinsed out, and rinsed out in a big way as we head later tomorrow night into Sunday morning. Now, those threats that we just mentioned going into tonight are going to be mainly off to our north and west. But the change that we are seeing now compared to yesterday is that level 2 risk out of 5 in parts of Minnesota for tonight is not going to stay more to our north. It's actually going to shift much farther south. So far south that it covers pretty much our entire viewing area. So this is why we're under this level 2 out of 5 risk for seeing that intense wind gust, but more importantly, the flooding risk that's going to be involved as well. Now, of course, we have another 24 hours or so until we see this event impact our viewing area. So there could still be some tweaks involved, not as far as only the track is concerned, but the amount of rainfall you could potentially see in your hometown. So I want to stress once again that this is why we have our weather impact alert. We could be dealing almost with the same situation that we had here around a few weeks back when we had some of that excessive rainfall that took place in July. You may remember where we had those amounts ranging from 2 to as high as 6, 7, even 8 inches of rain. There is a good possibility that a few hometowns could actually see that. So what you need, of course, is have a way of receiving those alerts. And I can't stress enough, having that Storm Track 8 app during those situations, during the situation like we're looking at, is a good tool to have during this event. So make sure you check that out. Let's go in to show you the future track right now. And all quiet, as you can see, by around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm going to move the clock all the way to about lunchtime, noon, and it's still looking pretty good. But this is a wave that we'll be watching. This is one of several waves that we'll be watching as we go through the rest of the weekend. So once again, this is noon. We're going to move the clock a little bit more to about mid-afternoon, right around 3 or 3:30. And near the Quad Cities, but especially north, this wave may have a tendency of producing some heavy rainfall, but also a good rush of wind, okay, by around the mid-afternoon hours. Now, what this wave is going to do is ignite some more activity just off to our south and west. I'm going to move the clock in that upper right-hand corner all the way to about the mid-evening hours. And you're going to see the explosiveness of these showers and drenching storms that will be taking place as it makes its way across the river itself. but we're not quite done here. This is around mid-evening. I'm going to move the clock just before sunrise around 4 a.m. And you can see another intense line of some very heavy showers and thunderstorms that will be taking place. Actually, this shows around 3 a.m. And then by the time we get to about maybe mid-morning on Sunday, the heaviest of the activity and the coverage begins to kind of focus a lot more off to our south and east, and that will leave behind a nice amount of dry hours before we see maybe an isolated coverage going into late afternoon, and more likely going into about Sunday night as well. Now, that boundary that we just mentioned, which is now located to our west, will likely stall across our area as we head into not only Sunday night, but Monday as well. So we'll continue to see maybe some more of these scattered showers and thunderstorms, some that could produce some heavy rain, even going into our Monday as well. Okay, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as far as the potential for extending the flooding event that may take place around here. Now, this is our categories when it comes to excessive rainfall. This is a scale between 1 to as high as 4. And you can see areas along the river, that does include immediate Quad Cities and points west, is under a 3 out of 4 risk. Farther east in that yellow, more a 2 out of 4 risk. Now, what does that mean as far as numbers are concerned? Well, in these ranges, and I was going to show you that. Let me see if I can kind of pop that up again. Kind of have a little problem here. I think I put an extra pause point here. Let me see if I can kind of move that a little bit more off to our, let me see if I can just advance it just a little bit here, and boom, that's what I wanted to show. And you can see that in that red shaded area, that could be an area where 3 to maybe over 5 inches of rain could actually be taking place. And then a little farther east of the river as you go, we're looking at amounts, and keep in mind, these are early estimates, maybe 1 to 3 inches of rain. To make it maybe even more simplistic, I guess you can say, we can actually go ahead and break down some numbers. Now, this is not etched in stone, but it does show how impressive and how extreme this rainfall is going to be in pretty much most of our hometowns, starting out around Saturday afternoon, evening, all the way to about Sunday morning. And this goes all the way to about mid-morning or so. And what really sticks out is that purple shaded area that we see just off to our south and west. And it kind of links up pretty well to that excessive rainfall graphic I just showed you, where areas more west has a much better chance of seeing those rainfall amounts, possibly between over 4 to maybe over 6 inches of rain, okay? And you can see how those numbers kind of drop, but not too much farther east as you go. In the Quad Cities right now, we are looking at maybe over 2 inches of rain. But keep in mind, I'll stress this again, this is not etched in stone. This is going to wobble a little bit as we make our way in the next 24 hours. Of course, it all depends on not just the timing, but how fast these storms are going to be moving, or more importantly in this case, how slow these storms are going to be moving. So that is what we're kind of going to be keeping an eye on with these storms, these periods of storms that are going to be making their way through the area itself. So with all that rainfall, this is really no surprise. Flood watch is out starting Saturday evening, okay? Excessive rainfall could, in a very short period of time, could cause some flash flooding, especially those poor drainage areas that we saw in some of our hometowns just a few weeks back. Early estimates, you can see 1 to over 5 inches of rain. So if you see any of that high water, the old saying that we have here, turn around, don't drown. You don't want to be anywhere around that high water. If you do happen to see any of that, this is a good chance to even make sure that your sump pump is working, given the amounts that we're right now seeing. So that may be not a bad idea as well when it comes to this event. And as we stretch it out into our 8-day tracker, as you can see here, you can see that the amounts, the chance for some showers and thunderstorms continues into Monday. Once again, that same boundary I just showed you out to our west is going to be kind of dangling nearby on Monday. So we could be seeing a few more rounds of showers and thunderstorms that could potentially have some heavy rain with it. And then the last of those raindrops should be taking place as we get to about Tuesday morning or so, After that, we begin to dry out and warm up those temperatures as we get into the following weekend or so. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now, folks, when it comes to this event that will be taking place, why we have this weather impact alert going into about Saturday evening and at least going into the early morning hours on Sunday. That may change maybe with the event that may be taking place on Monday itself. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at. Let me make my way to our Facebook page here. And this is where, if you do have, by chance, any questions or concerns, we can certainly take some of those questions as well. Okay, let's see. This is, okay, so let's go with Tyler. When it comes to the rainfall this weekend, how much rain is possible? Are we expecting heavy rain in a short time frame? Yes. With all the rain clear up before Monday morning, sure, there are going to be some dry hours in between, that's for sure. And then, because you have outdoor work plans, I don't blame you. I do too. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then one is from Billy. Of course, Billy is a weather nerd just like me. He wants to know what kind of tornado risk are we looking at. I really don't see any tornado risk. I'm a little concerned about maybe some strong gusty winds that may come down from some of those initial storms that may be taking place around here come late Saturday afternoon or so. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of put once again our tracker as to what we're anticipated to see going into tomorrow and going into the rest of the weekend as well. And if you want to, let mention to my director in the booth, you want to come out to me on a full shot here, we can go ahead and continue to answer some of these questions that we have here. So no, I don't worry about any type of a tornado risk. The cap above us, he's mentioned about, is in relation to these storms, there's not going to be much of a cap to work with. Okay, so these storms are going to simply explode, and without much movement, has a chance to produce some very heavy rain in a very short period of time. Keep in mind, the air near the surface is going to be very warm and humid, but aloft, especially with we're in the top of those thunderstorm clouds. You're talking about temperatures below freezing, okay, below zero actually. So you're going to have these storms really grow in a very short period of time, and it's going to be able to dump a lot of rainfall in a very short period of time, at least for some of our hometowns. So that's kind of what we're going to be really concerned about there. Christine wants to know about Dixon. I'm assuming Dixon, Illinois. Well, given the fact that you're more, let me see if I can actually bring up that graphic again. Boom, boom, and boom. Let's see if I can get that graphic up here, which will show the excessive rainfall. Okay, that's what I wanted to show. Okay, so if you're talking about around Dixon, Illinois, which is right here, you're kind of in that 2 out of 5 risk of seeing some excessive rainfall. And right now, 1 to 3 inches kind of looks pretty good for you. And that's kind of what we're looking at around Kewaunee and Princeton, Galesburg, maybe around Macomb. At least, once again, that's kind of what we're seeing right now, whereas higher amounts will be right now off to our west. But it all depends, keep in mind, folks, all depends on how those storms not only develop, but where they track and what areas are going to be most common in seeing these repeated storms. That's going to produce some high water amounts on some of our rain gauges. And I think, Tyler, I just answered your question. When it comes to the rainfall this weekend, how much rain is possible? Yes, we are expecting to see a heavy rain in a very short period of time. So yes, that's a big concern. Linnell wants to know, I'm concerned about Saturday afternoon, planning on going to Praise in the Park in Stockton on Saturday evening. That may be a big concern, Linnell. I mean, as far as the threat for seeing some of those storms that may be popping up around Joe Daviess County, especially maybe by the mid or late afternoon. So at least what we're seeing right now, that may be a little bit iffy. Might have to be a cancellation on that. We'll see how that all turns out. Now keep in mind too, Morgan Strackbine will be with us on Good Morning Quad Cities at 6 a.m. And so she'll be able to give you the latest updates on that. And I will actually be here for tomorrow evening's newscast, the 5:30 show and the 10 o'clock. So we'll be able to tell you what's really happening during that time and who's really going to get impacted. We'll really have it set in stone as far as the rainfall potential during that period that I just mentioned. Let's see here. Any more? I'm going to hit that button there. And let's see here. Okay. It's not giving me the rest of that. Let me go ahead and I'm going to do this right here, folks. I'm going to go over and go to my trustworthy phone here. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up the Facebook page on WQAD. It looks like I got a little bit of a, looks like my computer just froze up on me. So hang on for a second. We'll go here. And we'll go here. There we go. And we'll go here. And let's see here. Cooperate with me. Cooperate with me. There we go. And there's some of the comments right there too. Okay. Okay, Brandon wants to know how high are the winds expected to be? Well, when we're talking about the fact that we're talking about some intense winds coming down from these storms, of course, that brings up the possibility of seeing some winds that could be in excess of 60 miles an hour. So there is that possibility on that. I don't think they're going to get any stronger, nothing really too intense, but 60 miles an hour, that is certainly enough to cause some damage. So yes, that's something we'll have to definitely be keeping an eye on that. Okay, let's see if I can get any more questions here. What will LaSalle, Peru get for wind and rain? This is coming from Dave. I always like to say LaSalle, Peru instead of Peru, but Dave, you're kind of in that category right here where the main axis of the heaviest of the rainfall is still expected to be off to our west. And once again, this can all change going into tomorrow. But most of the models are agreeing that along the river, and especially more north and west, that's where the highest flood potential may take place, given all the winds that are expected, not only in that area, but where the repeated storms may be taking place as well. And let's see if I can get maybe one or two more. Can I get one or two more? A lot of thank yous, and I appreciate that, folks. Hopefully we are able to answer your question, even though we're about 24 hours out. I think there'll be a lot more questions come tomorrow. I think that is it for now. Hail threat, okay, from Michael. Hail threat, I really don't see that. I think maybe the worst case scenario could be maybe pea size or penny size that could take place with those initial storms that may be popping up. But I think we're talking about a system that's going to have some good wind rushing down, but certainly a lot of rainfall. That's the biggest thing that we are highlighting here during this event that will be taking place later tomorrow and going into Sunday. So that's kind of the latest I see right now as far as questions are concerned. And I really appreciate everyone putting their 2 cents in. Of course, we will have a lot more of those questions to answer come tomorrow, like I said, with meteorologist Morgan Strackbine. And of course, hopefully you'll be with us come tomorrow evening when we'll be, of course, tracking these showers and thunderstorms that will be taking place. Any severe weather that may take place as well, we'll certainly let you know on News 8. We'll let you know here on the 8 Plus app as well. And if we do need to do another weather impact presentation, we'll let you know here also at News 8. Have a good evening, and more importantly, have a safe weekend.